This particular chart predicts, based on historical data, the exact date of the next all-time high for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and jump into the charts. Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. In today's video, we're going to be discussing a particular chart that is telling us the possible exact date for the next all-time high for Bitcoin. We'll also go over the short-term price action, the recent rejection, and the likelihood of a upcoming reversal / bounce. Before we do get into it, smash that like button, hit the comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos on Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, the structural, and of course the relevant economic information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you're interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the third link down below. You will get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and the relevant economic news. If you are interested in trading, you can join our VIP group. We post trading setups with exact entries, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, and exclusive analysis. You'll also get access to our group chats, our general chat, our trading chart and education chat, our news chat, our daily video chat, our help chat, and of course our trade setup chat. If you're interested in getting access to all of that, go ahead and contact me in the pinned comment of the free channel for more information. Let's dive right into the video, guys, starting on the market data. So how are we looking for the 24-hour period? Overall, 24-hour volume is down 33%, sitting at a total of 119 billion. Total volume is still relatively high. Looking at those 24-hour liquidations, we are down 71%, sitting at a massive 139 million. So a massive reduction in total liquidations, but we did see one of the largest total liquidation days for cryptocurrency as a whole for the last 4 months in yesterday's 24-hour trading period. So a reduction in those liquidations is expected. Taking a look at the 140 million in liquidations, 18 million have come from longs and 60 million have come from late shorts, as Bitcoin has been bouncing ever so slightly from that $40,000 region. We'll be discussing exactly what is happening here and what we expect next in today's video. Moving over to our volatility index on the 60-day period, we haven't really seen too much change. The volatility index is still moving upwards as expected. On the 30-day period, again, we have seen a little bit of a spike following yesterday's recent correction, a little bit of a move toward the upside, which again is a good thing. We do want to see a volatility rise as the price action holds this overall uptrend. Moving over to the DXY, the DXY took a small little drop yesterday as inflation data did come out relatively bearish, but not really bearish enough to result in the DXY moving upwards. So we did see the DXY move downwards as people kind of brushed off that data. And it's pretty common people brush off inflation data when we are moving into some more interesting and more significant economic events, particularly moving into something like FOMC, interest rate decisions, and of course we do have retail sales and the Federal Reserve press conferences in the following days. So we are definitely still looking at this interest rate decision for the main driver of price action for the DXY and for the markets this month, and that is going to be coming out in a little bit over around 40-ish hours. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. It is expected to be a pause. However, if we do see a hike, this is going to be very bearish for the markets. If we do see a reduction, this is going to be very bullish for the markets. More or less likely, we will just see that pause. Moving over to the broader markets, we can see the S&P 500 is on a rocket mission, moving up to that all-time high, breaking over that major macro 1.5 to 2 year downward diagonal trending resistance, resulting in a strong break toward the upside. And it does look like we are pushing even higher. So it wouldn't be expected if we come up and tap these high points over the coming weeks. If we do break below this diagonal trend line, that is when we would expect a correction lower. Moving over to the Dow Jones, we have actually breached the prior all-time high. This is fantastic to see, and actually I would say this caught a lot of people off guard. This huge area of resistance, we just sliced right through it like butter. But again, we do want to see a weekly candle close above this level and just in less than 2 days, we will have the FOMC meeting and the interest rate decision. And this weekly candle closes in 2 days and 23 hours. So that will close after the interest rate decision. Very crucial stuff. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the traditional markets respond to whatever decision they push forward on that interest rate decision. Moving over, guys, let's get into Bitcoin. And as we said in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the macro charts, discussing why a particular date, according to our charts, is going to be the all-time high for Bitcoin, what we can use to prove that, and limitations to that theory, why we could potentially see this theory demolished, how we could see an earlier all-time high, but nevertheless, we're going to be talking about the exact date this chart is actually projecting. We'll also go over the current daily and of course short-term price action, discussing the possibility for a bounce here and why I believe this correction is a healthy correction and necessary for the continuation for Bitcoin toward the upside over the coming months. So before we get into it, guys, a quick word from Bitget and BingX and we'll dive on in. I wanted to briefly interrupt today's video to discuss the two exchanges we use on this channel, Bitget and BingX. So which exchange should you sign up to? If you look to the right hand side of the screen, you're going to see the list of differences in relation to KYC requirements and the countries these exchanges offer services to. The first link down below being the Bitget link and the second link down below being the BingX link. No matter which link you sign up to, you're going to get up to 15% discounts on your trading fees, up to $5,000 in trading rewards, and of course, you'll get access to every single MegaWhale exclusive bonus campaign we run on these exchanges. Alongside that, Bitget and BingX are incredibly similar. They are both ranked top 10 in terms of trading volume. They both have extensive liquidity pools and market pairs offering up to 125x leverage. And most importantly, they both offer protection funds for their users to protect you against any third-party hacks. So get started now and support the channel by clicking the links below. Thanks for listening. Okay, so that is over and done with. Let's go ahead and discuss Bitcoin. So what we have over here is two charts. We have our monthly 4-year cycle chart. This is reflected by our red, our gray, and our green zones. And then we have this chart kind of broken down into a weekly scale. And what we can notice over here is a few things. We've got our our vertical lines, which mark our exact bottoms and exact tops for prior bear markets and prior bull markets. And then we have our vertical date range, which tells us the exact amount of days, and in this instance, weeks, the time period between those all-time highs and all-time lows. And what we've noticed in the last, last 8, nearly 9 years, we've seen a very, very similar pattern. And it's such a similar pattern, it almost seems like a instructed, planned and prepared / executed pattern, because for it to be this specific and this accurate seems mind-blowing in what you would consider the market being somewhat random at times. What we've noticed from the 2015 January 12th bottom to the all-time high on the 11th of December 2017, we saw a date range of 152 weeks. This is equal to 1,064 days. 1,064 days. What we then saw was following the all-time high. We saw a rejection and we saw a continuation to the all-time low, which was marked on the 10th of December 2018. We saw 364 days in this correction. This is where it gets very interesting. Moving forward from that all-time low to the all-time high on the 8th of November 2021, we saw 152 bars, which is equal to 1,064 days, the exact same amount of days we saw from bottom to top in the prior cycle. And it gets more interesting. From the exact top in 2021 to the exact bottom on the 31st of October 2022, we saw a total of 364 days, the exact amount of time between the exact top and the exact bottom in the 2018 bear market. If we extrapolate this pattern forward and we say we can expect to see 1,064 days, we take that from our absolute bottom, which was again the 7th of November 2022, we drag that forward 1,064 days. That takes us to a specific date, which is the 6th of October 2025. That is expected to be the all-time high date for Bitcoin based on what we've seen in the past. Now, of course, there are limitations to this and reasons why it could fail. We discuss that in a second, but we'll briefly touch on why this is significant. First and foremost, it is always important to note, it is impossible to fully project the future and predict the exact dates. This is just a visual guide and a pattern we have noticed in the past. This doesn't mean the data is irrelevant. This does have some relevance, and it obviously does have some significance. At the bare minimum, you should now identify the 6th of October 2025 as a potential high for Bitcoin, meaning if we do end up traveling along over the next few years and we have not created a high prior to this date, well then immediately the closer we start getting to this date before printing an all-time high and a rejection into a bear market, this should pop into your head as a possible point for that all-time high to print from. So as of right now, we are still 1,000 or so days out, well 500-600 days out is probably not too relevant, but as we get closer and closer to that date, the more validity this theory does have and the more significance that particular date could potentially hold. So at the bare minimum, chuck it in the back of your mind, write it down on a book, annotate it on your chart as a possible top for Bitcoin. Now, there are plenty of reasons why we could see an earlier all-time high for Bitcoin. The main one being if we see an early bull market, right? An early bull market should translate to an early all-time high. So let's discuss what could trigger an early bull market, and from a technical and structural perspective, how could we confirm whether or not a bull run has started early or not. So first and foremost, from a fundamental perspective, what could trigger an early bull market? The obvious answer is going to be potential ETF's approval, provided the ETF approval is not a sell in the news event. So if we do see an ETF approval and we see continuous positive good news coming out after and after, that could push Bitcoin into an early bull market. Now, we are not in a traditional bull run. We are in a bullish market, we are in an aggressive macro uptrend, but if we're looking at traditional bull runs based on the 4-year cycle, we are not in a 4-year cycle bull run. And that is the kind of bull run we are discussing and talking about. So let's go ahead and take a look at this chart. This is going to be our monthly chart with our 4-year cycle overlaid. And on top of it, we do have a particular indicator I've been using for a very long time. If you've been watching our channel even back to about 1.5 years ago, or even 2 years ago, we were discussing the baseline of the Ichimoku cloud and why it is going to have particular significance in predicting the start of the next bull run. If we take a look at the baseline by itself, we can notice every single time we close a monthly candle above that baseline of the Ichimoku cloud, we remain above the baseline of the Ichimoku cloud until we eventually close a monthly candle below it. By that point, we have already created an all-time high based on the 4-year cycle and based on the structural patterns of the overall price action. So that is an amazing indicator to predict not only the start of the bull run, but the fact that the price action is going to continue up on a macro scale. Now, if we take this and go a step further with it, what we can say is generally, the bull run usually starts for Bitcoin when two things have occurred. We look for two things. We look for number one, the monthly candle close over the baseline of the Ichimoku cloud, and number two, the monthly candle close over the dotted trend line on the horizontal, on the structural level for Bitcoin. This usually happens within this green period. Notice how the monthly candle close over the dotted trend line generally happens within that bull run period. That means it usually happens within the expected phase of the 4-year cycle in which we generally see the bull run actually develop and continue from. Now, if we do take an analysis of the bull run, we take a what we would call a trend angle analysis. If we take the all-time low to that breakout point of the horizontal trend line, from the all-time low to the breakout of the horizontal trend line, and then we take the breakout of the horizontal trend line to the all-time high, we can see a significant shift in overall market volatility, overall volume, overall momentum, and thus reflected as a greater trend angle. This is significant as it does determine or does indicate a period of price action which expresses significantly more strength and buying pressure than the past periods. When we see that play on a macro scale, we generally then determine it as a bull run. So in this instance, we can see the bull run initiates on Bitcoin when we get those two things. Number one, the indication that Bitcoin is going to close a monthly candle above the dotted trend line is generally the monthly close above the baseline. So when we close above the baseline, that is a good indication we're going to push up to the dotted trend line and close a monthly candle above. And when we close a monthly candle above, that is an indication the bull run is starting. So how does that apply to this current price action? Well, if we take a look at the current price action, we can see the price action is currently retesting the baseline of the Ichimoku cloud. We do have 19 days remaining. If we do close above this level, that would be an early indication Bitcoin is preparing for a continuation into the bull market. Now, generally, we do not see this happen this early. If you do note, when we close above, we generally close above right on that conversion point between accumulation into the bull run phase. And that is not expected into April 2024. So if we do get an early break of the Ichimoku cloud, we could potentially see an early break of the dotted trend line. And if we do see an early break of the dotted trend line and a monthly close above, we could potentially see the theory of 1,064 days break, as we would be entering an early bull market, and thus we'll be expecting an early all-time high. Let's go ahead and jump into the short-term analysis. So Bitcoin has seen, guys, it's seen such a crazy last few days. We saw an 8% correction followed by a 10-day trend line breakdown. We saw a $42,000 attempt to hold support. It really didn't put up much of a fight. We were expecting a little bit more of a fight there, but there was so much selling pressure, the price plummeted back down to retest these lows at around 40,000. Ever since then, we have been grinding in this slow-moving downtrend, again, with decreasing volatility, decreasing momentum, and overall compression. We can see that $42,000 level is going to be acting as a short-term trigger for a continuation up to our major trigger, which is going to be the bullish trigger point. On the short-term price action, Bitcoin is technically not bullish. Okay, if we look at this cluster of price action until we break above this diagonal downtrending resistance. If we break above the bullish trigger, that is when we expect a continuation back up to 46 to 48k to play out. Okay, on the short term, if we want to see a move toward that bullish trigger, we do need to break above 42,000. 42,000 is a major resistance. Look at the last time we broke above 42,000 right over here. We saw a strong move toward the upside. We can expect a similar reaction if we break above again. Until then, the short and immediate price action is showing us signs of a overall downtrend. So we'll go ahead and draw our trend lines in. We have our diagonal trend line right over here, which is reflected as our downtrending resistance. We can expect again the price action to continue toward this $40,000 mark, provided we remain underneath this downtrending trend line. If we do break above this downtrending trend line, we will then expect a flip in price action and the price action to continue upwards. However, guys, as we've noted in yesterday's video, and as we will say again, the overall correction as of right now, and this can change based on where the price goes, is considered a healthy correction, as the price has not breached through the major level of support, which is the $40,000 to $38,000 level. If we lose this level, that is when we flip bearish, and that is when we expect the price to correct aggressively to 32,000. If we take it a step further and try to be more specific, that move, that bearish flip, would not occur unless the major uptrend is lost. This uptrending diagonal trend line has provided support since October the 25th of October, so nearly 2 months, guys. If we lose this uptrending trend line, all right, if we break down from here, that is when we expect a strong correction of Bitcoin and an extended correction of Bitcoin. Until then, this should be considered a healthy pullback. As we saw over here, 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 okay? It is a little bit more of a violent correction, as we did see a more violent move. The stronger move up, the stronger the move down. So again, until we lose this level of support, we should be aware that opportunities to long will arise, and you do have to be watching for coins that are potentially developing reversals, okay? A lot of altcoins are trying to reverse, a lot of altcoins are doing a good job of reversing. However, with Bitcoin's negative selling pressure here, they're kind of being held back a little bit. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't attempt it. Again, keep your risk management tight and prepare and plan and execute your trade trades based on your individual risk tolerance. But again, you have to be aware that the trend is up at the moment. If we do lose this trend line, that is when we're flipping bearish on a higher time frame. That is when we expect a correction downwards. While we remain above this midline, this middle trigger point, there is no reason why Bitcoin can't go up. Now, I do want to mention this because there is a limitation to this once more. If we take a look at this chart over here on the baseline, we can notice we have seen rejections from this level in the past, primarily the 2019 scenario. So we would be unlikely to close, okay? We're unlikely to close a monthly candle above the baseline initially without seeing some degree of rejection. So I do believe in 19 days, we will not see a close on the monthly candle above 48K. It will be too early based on historical data. We are more likely to actually see a monthly candle close underneath this baseline, which is 42,000. So what the chart is telling us, we've got 19 days, okay, to swing upwards into the 48K range and then reject back down within 19 days. This is unlikely. We're closing this monthly candle above 42.5K. So keep that in mind and we'll move forward into the next video tomorrow. Hope you have a fantastic day. Check out the Crypto Academy courses if you want to learn how to trade. The link is down below. 10-unit course. We teach you everything from technical analysis and market structural analysis to get you on your trading journey. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.